1. So now we're going to do something called completing the square. So complete the square constant. If using the method of completing the square to solve the quadratic equation x squared plus 14x minus 1 equals 0, which number would have to be added to complete the square? Okay, so this is a new process. It might be a little bit confusing to you guys, so I'm going to give you the formula and I'll give you the reason why. Okay, so the formula part can be easier for some of you, and then maybe for some of you it would be easier to know the reason why, but I'm going to give you both. And let's start by, actually let me rewrite it first. X squared plus 14x minus 1 equals 0. There we go. So you want to start by just keeping this stuff on the left side and bringing the 1 to the right side by adding 1. So just add 1, you get x squared plus 14x equals 1. So what we did here was we kept all the x terms on one side, and then we brought the constant term to the other side, so it's kind of out of the way. Okay, so now that the 1 is out of our way, you have this letter, or okay, if you have the form ax squared plus bx, this 14 is the b, right? This 14 is the b. I'm going to write b equals 14. So the number that you would have to add to complete the square, this number would be b over 2 squared. So the number we want to add to both sides is b divided by 2, and then you square it. So let's do that. What is b divided by 2 squared? B is 14, right? Because that's the number in front of x. You're going to divide it by 2, and we're going to square it. So 14 divided by 2 is 7. So we're going to square 7. So the number we are going to add to both sides is 7 squared, also known as 49. So I'm going to do that over here. X squared plus 14x plus 49 is equal to 1 plus 49. So I added to both sides. Notice that the 49 gets added to both sides so that it's still equal. It's just like anytime you solve, if I add a 1 to one side, I have to add a 1 to the other side, right? So if we're adding 49, our magic number, I'm going to add it to one side, but I'm also going to add it to the other side so that they stay equal. So the formula that I want all of you to write down is this: b over 2 squared. This is the magic number that you have to add to both sides to complete the square. So let me go ahead and type that in over here. So that is your formula, the b over 2 squared. And then the reason why, let me annotate again, is so that this entire portion right over here can be rewritten as x plus b over 2, that's a b over 2 squared. And so let me rewrite that. We know that b is 14, right? So this can be rewritten as x plus b over 2 is 7 squared equals 1 plus 49 is 50. So what we actually ended up doing is rewriting this original equation into this. X plus 7 squared equals 50. And this helps us solve it because then you can just square root both sides and then subtract 7, just like in the last category. So that helps us solve the equation. So completing the square is a process that can help us solve the equation. And so the reason why you add b over 2 squared is so that you can turn the original quadratic into a perfect square. X plus 7 squared is a perfect square. That's why it's called completing the square, because you make it a perfect square. Okay, so I'm going to pause the recording here and see if you guys have any questions. Okay, I'm going to submit this 49. Oh, did I not submit it? Great, it's not loading. So if I believe it kind of submits, then if I refresh it, it should say 1 out of 5. I think it happened with you guys last class too, huh? Okay, 1 over 5. So we got it right, even though it didn't give us the green check mark, it was just lagging or something. But let's do another problem. So annotate, let me rewrite that. X squared minus 10x minus 13 equals 0. So your first step is to add 13 to both sides. Remember, move that to the other side so that the x pieces are by themselves. Okay, and so your b value is negative 10. Oops, negative 10. And remember, your formula is b over 2 squared. So let's figure out what b over 2 squared is. B is negative 10 over 2, square it. Negative 10 over 2, that is negative 5. We're going to square that. And negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25. That is the ugliest 5 I've ever written. Here we go. Positive 25. And so this is a number I will type in over here. And it is as straightforward as that. But just in case any of you want to see what it looks like once you actually add 25 to both sides, you get x squared minus 10x plus 25 equals 13 plus 25. So you would just add the 25 to both sides. Okay, let me pause the recording and see if you guys have any questions. So let's submit this 25. Now let's do another one with just the formula. Okay, I guess I have to refresh it because it won't load. Okay, so now you can see it says 2 out of 5, which means we got it right. And so let's do one more. So somebody asked, can we just look at this, the b value, and then just do the formula from there? Yes, we can totally do that. Let's do that one. So we know that b is equal to negative 13. So we have our formula b over 2 squared, which is negative 13 over 2 squared. And you could type this into a calculator. So negative 13 over 2, 6.5 squared. And that would be 42.25. And you can type this into your answer box. And then, are there any questions on this one? Submit, and yes. And for some reason, this time it gave us a check mark, even though the last 2 times it didn't. But as you can see, we got that one correct. So that's it for this video. So let me stop this one.